Hashtag the echo of disrespect. The access card clattered against the polished granite floor, a sharp sound that reverberated through the opulent foyer of Olympus Global Bank. Marcus Thorne, a senior vice president of the institution, had, with a sneer, flung the ID card of a 60-year-old black man onto ground as if it were refuse. "I apologize, but documents like these simply don't inspire confidence," Marcus declared with a dismissive smile, adjusting his silk tie as he watched the man bend to retrieve his identification. "Perhaps you'd be better off seeking a bank more suited to your profile." Elijah Vance remained stooped for a few seconds, holding the card with hands that, even at 60, were steady and showed no tremor of indignation. He possessed the posture of someone who had weathered storms far more brutal than the arrogance of a young executive. When he straightened, his eyes met Marcus's with an unsettling tranquility. The scene had captured the attention of other clients in the bank. An impeccably dressed woman whispered something to her husband, subtly gesturing toward Elijah. Two sharply dressed executives paused their conversation, observing the unfolding awkwardness. The silence in the room was so profound that even the hum of the air conditioning seemed amplified. "I understand perfectly," Elijah replied, his calm voice a stark contrast to the explicit contempt he had just endured. "I merely came to conduct a simple transaction, but I realize now that this may not be the opportune moment." Marcus rolled his eyes and turned to Chloe, his assistant, who had witnessed the entire exchange with obvious discomfort. "It's always the same with these types," he muttered, loud enough to be heard. "They think they can just waltz in here without understanding how things operate." Elijah Vance was no ordinary man, though his unassuming appearance might have suggested otherwise. There was something in his gaze, a profound calmness found only in those who hold powerful secrets and know precisely when to unveil them. His silver hair was meticulously combed. His callous hands told tales of decades of unwavering dedication, and his upright posture exuded unshakable dignity. What was most intriguing about Elijah's reaction was his complete lack of surprise. It was as if he had anticipated this very treatment, as if he already had a strategy for handling such encounters. "May I ask what brings you here today?" Chloe inquired, attempting to diffuse the tension created by her superior. Her voice trembled slightly, as if she sensed that something about the situation was profoundly amiss. "I intended to open a corporate account," Elijah stated simply. "My daughter mentioned you offer specialized services for large enterprises." Marcus let out a sarcastic chuckle. "Large enterprises, really?" He scrutinized Elijah from head to toe once more. "Listen, Mr. Vance, is it? Perhaps you don't grasp the caliber of our clientele. We're talking about multi-million-dollar contracts, international partnerships, complex investments." What Marcus didn't know was that Elijah hadn't arrived by chance. Over the past 3 months, his daughter had repeatedly mentioned that bank's name during family gatherings. "We're finalizing an enormous partnership with Olympus Global, Dad. It's a $5 billion deal, the biggest contract in our company's history." While Marcus continued his condescending monologue about client profiles and institutional standards, Elijah discreetly observed the bank's comings and goings. Well-dressed clients were greeted with warm smiles and gourmet coffee. Executives in expensive suits were escorted directly to private offices. The disparity in treatment wasn't subtle. It was glaring and systemic. "I grasp your position," Elijah said gently, interrupting Marcus's harangue. "Indeed, large corporations require partners who are up to the task." Something in Elijah's tone made Marcus pause for a moment. There was a certainty in that sentence that didn't align with the humiliation he had just inflicted. But the vice president quickly dismissed any fleeting unease. Standing by the revolving door, Elijah did something Marcus would never have expected. Instead of walking out defeated and humiliated, he pulled out his cell phone and typed a quick message. "Camilla, I need to speak with you about Olympus Global. It's urgent. A reply arrived within seconds. Is there a problem, Dad? I'm just reviewing the final contracts with them now. Elijah typed again. Let's just say I had an interesting experience with their customer service. Can we talk tonight? Sure, Dad. Are you okay? Elijah glanced one last time at Marcus. who was now serving a blonde client in a gray suit with almost obsequious reverence. A discreet smile formed at the corner of Elijah's mouth. Some people are about to discover that underestimating individuals based on their ID cards can cost them far more than they imagine. As he walked down the sunny sidewalk, Elijah showed neither anger nor sadness, just the placid calm of someone who had just witnessed exactly what he expected to witness, as if that humiliation were merely confirmation of a suspicion he had harbored for months. Hashtag the unraveling. Marcus Thorne couldn't resist the temptation to turn Elijah's humiliation into entertainment for his colleagues. During lunch at the executive dining room on the 20th floor, he recounted the story for the third time, gesticulating theatrically as he mimicked the supposedly humble voice of the old man. "You should have seen the look on his face when I tossed the document on the floor," Marcus chuckled, cutting into his grilled sea bass. He tried to maintain his dignity, but we all know how it is. These people always think they can just walk into anywhere. Chloe, his assistant, stirred her salad uncomfortably. "Marcus, maybe he really did have company? You didn't even check." "Chloe, honey," Marcus interrupted condescendingly, "I've been in this business for 8 years. I know a real client when I see one. That man didn't even have a platinum credit card." The other managers laughed, but something in Marcus's overly loud tone suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as the others. There was something about the man's calm demeanor that bothered him more than he cared to admit. "Besides," Marcus continued, sipping his Sauvignon Blanc, "it was a favor for him. Imagine how embarrassing it would have been if he had tried to open an account and found out he didn't even have the minimum deposit. I saved everyone time." What Marcus didn't know was that at that very moment, Elijah was sitting in his daughter's minimalist kitchen, leafing through contracts that would make the arrogant vice president swallow every contemptuous word he had uttered. "Dad, you look troubled," Camilla Vance observed, pouring fresh coffee into a cup that cost more than Marcus's monthly salary. "What happened at Olympus Global?" Elijah sighed, choosing his words carefully. "Let's just say I had an enlightening experience about how they treat certain people." "What do you mean?" "The vice president, Marcus Thorne, from what I saw on his badge, wasn't exactly welcoming. In fact, he was quite clear about the type of client he considered suitable for the bank." Camilla frowned. Marcus Thorne. She knew that name from the internal report she had received during the negotiations. A senior VP who would be responsible for a significant part of the implementation of the partnership that was about to revolutionize both companies. "Dad, do you want to tell me exactly what happened?" Elijah recounted everything, from the moment he walked into the bank to the instant his access card bounced off the cold granite floor. As he spoke, he saw his daughter's expression gradually change from concern to something far more dangerous. Camilla was renowned in the corporate world for her calculating coldness when someone disrespected her. "He threw your ID on the floor?" Camilla's voice was strangely calm, the kind of calm that precedes devastating storms. "Like it was trash, daughter. But don't worry, I've been through worse." And he had. Elijah Vance had built his first company from the rubble of discrimination he had suffered in the 1980s. When no bank would finance his dream of a construction company, he sold everything he had, worked 20 hours a day, and built low-income homes with his own hands until he could hire his first employees. At 60, he had sold that company for a fortune few knew about. His money was quietly invested in investment funds spread across 3 countries, but his modest appearance had never betrayed the 8-figure wealth he had accumulated through decades of relentless work. "You know, daughter, it was interesting to observe how the bank operates, especially considering the partnership you're entering into with them." Camilla nodded slowly, her eyes taking on a dangerous gleam Elijah had known since she was a child. $5 billion, Dad. It's the biggest contract in our company's history. I wonder how they would react if they knew that the inappropriate old man they humiliated today is the father of the CEO, who is about to make them the most profitable bank in the region." While Marcus dined in an expensive restaurant that evening, celebrating another day of maintaining the standards of Olympus Global, he posted on LinkedIn about the importance of maintaining strict quality criteria in customer service. His colleagues' comments praised his dedication to excellence. What he didn't know was that Elijah was on a video call with his daughter's 3 senior partners, being introduced as an informal advisor and strategic mentor. "I want you to meet my father," Camilla said on the screen. "Elijah Vance, my informal advisor and the wisest man I know." Elijah waved at the camera, his expression serene, masking the plans that were beginning to form in his experienced mind. He had spent decades building empires from nothing. Taking down the career of an arrogant manager would be almost recreational. "Nice to meet you," Elijah said calmly. "Camilla told me about the partnership with Olympus Global." "How interesting." During the ensuing conversation, Elijah asked seemingly innocent questions about timelines, key contacts at the bank, and contract cancellation procedures. Information any concerned parent would ask for, information experienced strategists would file away carefully for future use. Out of curiosity, Elijah asked casually, "What is the bank's policy on discrimination?" "I imagine a company of our size requires partners with solid values." The partners looked at each other. "That's an excellent question, Mr. Vance. We'll include that in the final review of the contracts." While Marcus slept peacefully in his penthouse, convinced that he kept the undesirables away once again, Elijah stayed up late, reviewing every detail of the billion-dollar partnership his daughter was about to sign. For a moment, when he had bowed his head in the face of insults that morning, everyone at the bank thought they had broken his spirit. But those who know true strength know that it grows precisely in silence, fueled by injustice, and is about to manifest itself in ways that will turn humiliation into revenge and arrogance into eternal regret. Hashtag the payback. 3 days after the humiliation at the bank, Elijah woke up before dawn and did something he hadn't done in years. He put on his only custom-tailored suit, which had been hanging in his closet since he sold his first company. This was no time to appear modest. It was time to remember who he truly was. "Dad, are you sure about this?" Camilla asked, reviewing the documents scattered across the conference room table for the 10th time. "Once we cancel, there's no turning back. $5 billion. Dad, that's almost half the company's annual revenue." Elijah adjusted his shirt cuffs and smiled. "Daughter, I've learned one thing building companies. Money can be recovered. Dignity, once lost, takes decades to regain." The table was covered with contracts, termination clauses, and financial reports. Camilla had spent the night with her legal team, mapping out every comma that would allow the partnership to be canceled without significant legal penalties. Clause 17 allows for unilateral termination in the event of discriminatory practices by the financial institution, explained Dr. Eleanor Vance, a senior lawyer with the firm for 15 years. "We'll need concrete evidence." "Leave that to me," Elijah said calmly, sliding a folder across the table. Inside was something that made even the experienced lawyer gulp. Printouts of Marcus Thorne's LinkSphere activity from the past 2 years, subtly prejudiced posts about quality standards and cultural fit, comments on articles about corporate diversity that revealed his discriminatory mindset, like unquestionable content. "My God," murmured Dr. Vance. "How did you get this?" When you're 60 years old and have been building companies since you were 20, you learn that information is power, Elijah replied. "Marcus Thorne isn't just arrogant, he's careless." While the Vance family planned meticulously, Marcus Thorne enjoyed what he believed to be another victorious week. He had posted on LinkSphere about an excellent quarter of growth and received dozens of compliments from colleagues. His latest achievement had been rejecting 3 unsuitable candidates for corporate counts. "Some people don't understand that we maintain high standards here," he commented to Chloe during the coffee break. "It's a matter of preserving the bank's reputation." Chloe had become increasingly uncomfortable with her boss's comments, especially after the incident with Elijah. "Marcus, have you ever thought that maybe we're being too selective?" "Chloe, honey, you're still new to this business. Over time, you develop an instinct for recognizing who truly belongs here." What Marcus didn't know was that at that very moment, Elijah was being welcomed as a VIP at his daughter's company headquarters. The receptionist greeted him as Mr. Vance, strategic advisor, and employees stopped discreetly to greet him in the hallways. "Dad, meet Robert Maxwell, our chief financial officer," Camilla said, guiding Elijah to a meeting room with a panoramic view of the city. Robert extended his hand with the respect reserved for major investors. "Mr. Vance, it's an honor to finally meet you. Camilla always talks about your business acumen. During the meeting that followed, Elijah demonstrated why he had built and sold companies for decades. His questions were precise, his analysis was surgical, and his suggestions revealed a sharp strategic mind. Robert, what would be the financial impact if we had to cancel partnership with Olympus Global? Elijah asked casually. It would be significant, but not catastrophic, Robert replied after consulting his reports. We have other banking options that have expressed interest in similar partnerships. Dominion National, for example, has offered even better terms. Camilla and Elijah exchanged glances. Everything was falling into place. There's something else you should know, Elijah said, his voice taking on a more serious tone. I've done some research on Marcus Thorne. This man isn't just occasionally prejudiced. It's systematic. He slid over printouts of internal emails, leaked by a disgruntled former Olympus Global employee. Messages in which Marcus referred to Eastern European clients as cultural risks and questioned the statistical reliability of black entrepreneurs. This is unbelievable, Robert whispered. If this leaks to the public, it won't leak, Elijah interrupted, because we're going to use it much more intelligently. Meanwhile, Marcus was having lunch at his favorite high-end restaurant, posting photos of his gourmet meal on Instaglimpse with a hashtag #executive_life hashtag. In the comments, colleagues praised his good taste and enviable lifestyle. He had no idea that every post, every comment, every public display of arrogance was being carefully archived by Elijah's team. Dad, are you sure you want to go through with this? Camilla asked, seeing the relentless determination in the eyes of the man who had taught her that dignity is not negotiable. Daughter, that man humiliated me because he thought I was insignificant. Tomorrow, he'll find out that some people are much more important than they appear to be. That night, while Marcus slept peacefully, dreaming of his next promotion, Elijah remained awake, finalizing what would be the most spectacular downfall the metropolitan banking sector had ever witnessed. The gun was loaded. The target was in his sights, and Marcus Thorne had no idea that he had chosen the wrong opponent to underestimate. For a moment, when he threw that access car on the floor, Marcus thought he was demonstrating his power. But those who know true power know that it doesn't need to be flaunted. It simply acts at the right moment, devastatingly and irreversibly. Hashtag the verdict. The next morning, Elijah woke up at 5 o'clock and put on his custom-tailored suit again. Today, it wouldn't just be his dignity that was affirmed. It would be the day he taught Marcus Thorne that underestimating people can cost $5 billion. Camilla, are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Asked Dr. Vance for the 10th time, reviewing the termination documents. Once signed, there's no turning back. Doctor, my father taught me that dignity is priceless, and $5 billion won't buy the respect they denied him. Meanwhile, Marcus arrived at Olympus Global, beaming. He had received a message from management informing him of an urgent meeting with strategic partners scheduled for 10 in the morning. In his arrogant mind, it could only mean one thing. His promotion had finally arrived. Chloe, have my desk polished and prepare the special Colombian coffee, Marcus ordered, adjusting the solid gold tie pin he reserved for important occasions. Today is the day my career takes off. At 9:45, Marcus was in his office organizing the last details when Chloe appeared at the door, her face visibly pale. Marcus, there's a problem. The Vance family is here for the meeting. Vance! Marcus frowned. I don't know any Vances important enough for strategic meetings. It's the man from yesterday. The one you, Chloe swallowed hard. He's with a woman who introduced herself as the CEO of Vance Industries. Marcus's blood instantly turned to ice. Vance Industries, the $5 billion company, the one that would make his career, the one whose contract was being finalized this week. Impossible, Marcus muttered, but his hands were already shaking as he frantically searched for information on his computer. Elijah Vance. The search returned a result that made Marcus almost faint. Asterisk Elijah Vance. 60 years old, retired business magnate, father of Vance Industries, CEO Camilla Vance. Estimated net worth, $120 million. Asterisk. No. Marcus repeated like a mantra as he hurried to the corridors toward the main meeting room. When he opened the door, the scene he found confirmed his worst nightmare. Elijah was sitting calmly at the main table, wearing the same impeccable suit that contrasted brutally with the simple clothes he had worn the day before. At his side was an elegant woman in her 40s, unmistakably powerful and professional. "Mr. Thorne," Camilla Vance said in an icy voice, "I believe you already met my father, Elijah Vance." Marcus tried to force a smile, but his legs were shaking visibly. "Mr. Vance, there was a misunderstanding yesterday. I didn't know that you were important." Elijah interrupted calmly. "Interesting. I thought Olympus Global treated all clients with respect, regardless of appearance." The regional director, Gregory Thorne, no relation to Marcus, though the irony was not lost, arrived running, clearly upset. "Ms. Vance, Mr. Vance, I apologize for any inconvenience. Marcus, would you please step outside?" "Actually," Camilla said, opening an elegant leather brief, "we would like Mr. Thorne to stay. After all, he was the one who helped us make a very important decision." Marcus felt sweat trickle down his back. "What decision?" Elijah smiled serenely. "The decision to cancel our $5 billion partnership with Olympus Global." The silence in the room was deafening. Gregory Thorne looked as if he had been punched in the stomach. "Camilla, we can work this out. Marcus will be disciplined. I promise you, Michael." "Gregory, Elijah spoke with the authority of someone who had built empires. When your company throws a client identity on the floor like trash, you're not just disrespecting a person. You're revealing your corporate culture." Marcus desperately tried to defend himself. "Mr. Vance, I was protecting the bank from possible fraud. It's standard procedure." "Standard procedure?" Camilla slid a series of printouts across the table. "These are screenshots of your link sphere from the last 2 years, Mr. Thorne. Posts about maintaining proper standards and filtering out inappropriate clientele. It seems your bias wasn't an isolated accident. The evidence was devastating. Subtly racist comments, likes on discriminatory content, a complete digital history of systematic prejudice. That was taken out of context," Marcus stammered. "Just like it was taken out of context when you threw my father's ID on the floor." Camilla's voice was dangerously calm. Gregory Thorne tried to salvage what he could. "Ms. Vance, we can fire Marcus immediately. The bank does not condone this behavior." "It's too late, Gregory." Elijah stood up, his presence dominating the room. "Yesterday, when you humiliated me, I was just a customer. Today, I am the father of the CEO you just lost." Marcus collapsed into his chair, reality finally hitting him. $5 billion. His career, his reputation, all destroyed by a few seconds of arrogance. "Please," he whispered. "I didn't know. I can change. I can." "Yesterday, you knew exactly who I was," Elijah replied with unshakable dignity. "A human being who deserved basic respect. That was all you needed to know." As father and daughter prepared to leave, Elijah paused at the door and turned to Marcus one last time. "Do you know what the difference is between us, Marcus? You judge me by my appearance. I judge you by your character. And I found that of the two of us, only one had anything of value to offer." The doors to the room closed, leaving Marcus alone with the wreckage of his career. Outside, employees whispered in the hallways. The news of the cancellation of the largest partnership in the bank's history was already spreading like wildfire. At that moment, Marcus realized that some people carry a silent power that only reveals itself when underestimated by those who confuse arrogance with intelligence. And true strength does not need to announce itself. It simply acts when necessary, in a devastating and irreversible way. #the legacy. 2 weeks after the meeting that would change everything, Marcus Thorne cleaned his desk for the last time. His dismissal had been immediate and without negotiation. 8 years of his career at Olympus Global now boiled down to a cardboard box and contemptuous looks from his former colleagues in the hallways. Did you really think you could treat clients like that and get away with it? Chloe, now promoted his former position, watched with a mixture of pity and poetic justice. Elijah Vance was literally the father of the biggest client in the bank's history. What made it worse for Marcus was discovering that his humiliation had gone viral internally. Employees shared the story in chat groups, always ending with the same phrase, "Never judge a book by its cover." Meanwhile, Elijah and Camilla signed an even bigger partnership with Dominion National Bank. $5.2 billion, $300 million more than Olympus Global's original offer. The director of Dominion, impressed by the Vance family's history of integrity, had offered preferential terms. "Mr. Vance," said Leonard Chun, president of Dominion National, "it is an honor to work with a family that values dignity above profit. That is rare in the corporate world." Elijah smiled serenely. "Leonard, I've learned that true partners are those who respect you at the first handshake, not after learning about your net worth." News of the cancellation of the billion-dollar partnership spread through the financial sector like wildfire. Marcus discovered in the worst possible way that his reputation had been destroyed, not only at Olympus Global, but throughout the regional market. 3 months later, he was still unemployed. Every interview ended the same way. "Oh, you're Marcus, who lost a $5 billion contract. Thanks, but we'll pass." One day, while drinking coffee alone in a modest cafe, Marcus saw Elijah enter the establishment. The man who had humiliated him was wearing simple clothes again, but now Marcus knew exactly who was standing before him. Elijah ordered his coffee, paid politely, and as he passed Marcus's table, he paused briefly. "Good morning, Marcus. How's the job search going?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Mr. Vance, I'd like to apologize. I didn't know." "Marcus," Elijah interrupted gently, "you knew exactly what you needed to know, that I was a human being who deserved basic respect. Everything else was irrelevant. But I can change. I can learn." Elijah nodded. "I sincerely hope you can, because the next person you judge by their appearance may have a daughter even more powerful than mine." With that, Elijah calmly walked out, leaving Marcus alone with a bitter reality. Some lessons come too late to save a career destroyed by one's own hands. 6 months later, Vance Industries had grown 40%, driven by its partnership with Dominion National. Elijah, officially hired as a strategic consultant for his daughter's company, used his office to mentor young entrepreneurs facing discrimination in the market. "Dad, you turned humiliation into growth for hundreds of people," Camilla said, watching Elijah mentor a young black entrepreneur who had been rejected by 3 banks. "Daughter, I've discovered that the best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something so great that they realize how small they were." Olympus Global never fully recovered from the loss. The story became a case study in business schools about how prejudice can cost billions. Marcus became a symbol of everything that is wrong with discriminatory customer service. Chloe, now a regional manager, implemented a diversity and inclusion program that became a model for other banks. On the wall of her office, she kept a framed quote, "Respect first, ask questions later." A year later, Elijah was invited to speak at the National Banking Convention on the importance of universal respect in customer service. When he took the stage, he spotted Marcus in the audience, now working as an insurance salesman, a shadow of the arrogant executive he once was. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elijah began his speech, "today I'm going to tell you how 5 seconds of disrespect cost a financial institution $5 billion. Marcus hung his head, knowing that his story would be told once again, but this time, as an example of what never to do, Elijah ended his speech with a reflection that echoed throughout the convention. The difference between dignified treatment and discrimination is not in the wealth of the person standing in front of you. It's in the character of the person serving them. As he stepped off the stage to warm applause, Elijah realized that he had turned his humiliation into a lesson that would change the way thousands of professionals would treat their customers from then on. That access card, thrown on the floor, had not broken his dignity. It had revealed the moral fragility of those who believe that power is measured by the ability to humiliate others. Marcus tried to destroy Elijah, but ended up destroying himself. Elijah learned that true revenge is not to repay the damage suffered. It is to achieve a success that his enemies could never imagine. If this story of justice and transformation touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove that the best response to prejudice is success built with dignity and intelligence.